Hey, Derek.
Hey, Trey, here we are.
Dude, episode 47 of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast. Last week, we had a technical difficulty, and that appeared to be my right hand hitting the record button on the video. So
It happens.
we went audio only, old school style. I think we put up a black video on YouTube. So the podcast is still out there. It's just instead of seeing our beautiful countenances, you see a black screen, which is maybe better.
Maybe your phone broke. I don't know. Just
Yeah,
from our faces being on it. So
maybe.
maybe that's the better option. But we're back in live in person today.
It's funny. I've been doing the off-road podcast, and I've had some. We've had a recurring guest with Jason Crowley, so we've been going 3 wide. This weekend we went Triple Crown Supercross racing in Indy.
Sure did.
I was impressed. Before we get started I was impressed. Supercross actually got invited to go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Got to do the tour. Got to hear the history. Got to kiss the bricks. That's actually kind of cool, and I don't know if that is a popularity of what Supercross is doing, or if that is because NBC kind of has the rights to most motorsports right now.
I don't know.
But it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, damn stadium was packed.
Mm-hmm.
It was packed.
It was full, like full.
I was a real fan this weekend because, well, I was supposed to go, and I found out Wednesday evening that I wasn't going because Rylan was sick.
Mm-hmm.
So change of plans, and I was just a fan. I watched it. I was at Daytona. I was at Sebring at the 12 Hours of Sebring on Saturday. Came home early enough to watch the first 2 Triple Crown mains live, and then watched the third one last night. You and I talked a little bit off camera and off audio. They're not doing it for me.
No, I was pretty excited for this Triple Crown, and it was, like at best, the racing was just not good. It was very bland. I mean, there was a couple battles here and there, a couple decent ones, but like you said, like I told you, it didn't do it this weekend.
And we can't blame it on the track. The track was rough, but the tracks have gotten rough. The riders have adapted to that. It wasn't the track. It wasn't the. I truly believe, and I hate to say it, I'm gonna go back to, the racing has become so start dependent.
Yeah, especially this weekend.
And I know Jett didn't get the whole shot one time, but
that's a different story.
It doesn't matter. When you are the best, you figure out
that's a different story.
How to pass.
But I mean, I would say this track did break down extremely quickly.
Yeah.
Compare, I mean, a lot of them have this year, but that was very fast.
Yeah.
It was. Well, I don't want to say it was really tight, but it was a pretty tight track. It broke down quick, so starts were everything. But even with that, there was no wow moments.
No.
At the end, Jett and Roczen did some battling, but there was no good racing.
Apparently, the fans love the Triple Crowns, and I guess TV loves the Triple Crown. I've never been a fan of them. I'm still not a fan of them, and after this weekend, I'm even less of a fan of them because they're just kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I love racing. I love the racing.
I guess the next big thing I'm looking for is the East-West Showdown.
Yeah.
Like I can look forward to that. I mean, so we can now kick the Triple Crowns off the map for me because I'm not into it anymore. But the East-West Showdown, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to be cool. Can we have a little bit of talk, since we're going to talk East-West Showdown? Can we do a geography lesson for Feld, NBC? Dallas let's say Dallas is right here. St. Louis is right here. If you look at my pin, Dallas is the racer and St. Louis is the tip. Why is St. Louis a West round?
I don't know. The East and West rounds have never made sense, except for the clear California, Seattle,
Arizona,
West.
Yeah.
Yes. Daytona. Now this year, Philadelphia, East Rutherford, New Jersey, like we used to have. The normal.
But this is
Michigan. But yeah, now we got a West round in the East.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's the next Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Seattle's not. Seattle, they're heading out west, and they get a week off, which is weird that they get a week off after Easter. Can't figure I can't figure that one
I'm
out.
guessing that this is the venues that would host,
Hmm.
and we had to have this many rounds for West and this many rounds for East, and pick this East round, and that's the one that's going to be West.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
That's really the only.
it just doesn't make any geographical sense.
No,
You know.
it really sucks for the West Coast riders.
Yeah.
But you think of them, I mean, some of the East Coast riders are traveling quite a ways too. So
Yeah. But so we'll get back to racing, but I was actually pulling out the map because I think since we didn't go to Indy, we're going to go to St. Louis instead.
possibly, I
And
was talking to your wife about it
yeah,
today.
and Rylan informed me that that's a West round, and I'm like, well, cool. I get to see the 250 West guys
Mm-hmm.
because I did, but it's a Triple Crown, which doesn't really excite me. I guess maybe it gives you more chance to go get snacks. I don't know.
Maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, maybe live in person will
Maybe
be
it'll
better.
be just the round that you wanted to be at.
Yeah. Well, I've been to St. Louis as a human being, as a tourist, gone through the Arch and all that. That's cool. By the way, if you ever get a chance, you go to St. Louis,
Hmm.
go to the Arch. There's also a really good barbecue place. Um, but I've never been to the America's Dome, where the Rams used to play. But that dome, you would think with a city that's lost major sports teams out of that dome, man, they use that dome for everything.
Mm-hmm.
They host a lot of cool stuff in that dome. So I'm glad that the city is still utilizing it. I also hear it's one of the races that you got to make sure you lock everything up.
Yeah.
But
Besides that, in Detroit.
yeah, actually Detroit, man, Detroit was awesome. I got no problem with Detroit, but nonetheless,
Someday you will.
someday, hey, it's the city. It makes men, right? It's where Eminem came from, so it can't be that bad.
There you go.
But let's talk racing. We were in Indianapolis, the city of speed, the birthplace of speed, and uh, the Yard of Bricks. Lucas Oil Stadium is an absolutely gorgeous stadium,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we triple crowned it. So all we saw were, I guess they're now calling them Triple Crown 1, 2, and 3. They can't come up with a name for these things, so they're just Triple Crown 1, 2, and 3. So we don't get to see any of the qualifying, any of the last chance qualifiers, that kind of stuff. So they're all before the night show starts. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the last chance qualifiers because there were some big names in the last chance qualifiers.
Yeah.
In both sides. So in 250s, who would have thunk that Jeremy Martin and Hardy Munoz would have had to ride the LCQ to get into the full Triple Crown races? But out of the LCQ, you had Jeremy Martin, Ryder Floyd, Hardy Munoz, and Preston Bosflug.
Yeah, it's something like
Yeah,
that.
but
Rough with these
yeah, it's
like.
he's American.
Is he? I
Yes,
thought he was from Spain or something.
no, he's from Washington, Michigan. I don't know. I can't read. I got no glasses.
I swore he was from
No,
overseas.
he's from Battleground, Washington, which I didn't know they ever fought in Washington State.
Mm.
I don't know, but hey, whatever. I know.
Geography lessons again.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We lost out this time. The beautiful hair of Brighton Carroll did not make it in. The story of Alabama, Logan Leitzel didn't make it
Mm-hmm.
in, and Isaiah Clark, who had been having a pretty decent run, didn't make it in. There was a lot of other names of guys who have had moments, but I just wanted to touch on, man, it was Hardy Munoz led the first two laps, and then survived to make it in.
Yeah,
It's got to be an
and
experience.
Hardy should never been in that position to begin with. He's getting it together.
Is he?
Full send Hardy. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
I don't want to say compared to the rest of the team, but he's got it figured out. Like HBI has it figured out anyway for being a privateer team
yeah.
coming in and doing what they do. But Hardy is like, if you've never watched Hardy ride closely, watch him because he is full send all the time. Um, Obviously he's got something figured out. He put it in the night show,
Yeah, yeah. We put
and
it in the
that's
night show, and he actually,
difficult to do in a triple crown
yeah,
race.
and he didn't finish. You think of those guys, if they make it in, they're kind of going to be the backside of the thing and
Mm-hmm.
of the results, and they weren't. Also, we're going to touch on that in the 450 side too. Well, first of all, Kyle Chisholm, the guy is just he is just a legend amongst the legends, but he's a very quiet back of the pack guy doing his
Mm-hmm.
job. Justin Starling, welcome back. You haven't done anything all year. Have had troubles, have had struggles. Let's just put it in a Triple Crown.
Yeah.
So he gets in Devin Simonson and Freddie Norn, which, by the way, for Freddie to have to go through the LCQ, he's been kind of just consistently, but he didn't have a very good night in the end, but he made it in. But some of the names that didn't, Ryan Preece, Grant Harlan, Kevin Moran's kind of starting to make his comeback. So he's just, I don't
Mm-hmm.
expect him to make it in, but he's
Yeah.
back on the bike. And
Ty
Ty
Masterpole, Tristan
Masterpool,
Lane,
yeah, there was some,
John Short.
yeah, I think John Short must have
Something happened
had a
to
problem.
him. I don't know what. I know he didn't finish.
I know Jace Kessler didn't even make it into the LCQ. He was the last. I guess he dinged himself in first qualifying
Hmm.
and just called it a night. So, because I was actually curious since we kind of met him and getting to know him, I was like, oh, he's 60th. What happened? But yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that before we dive into the actual Triple Crowns, because I just thought it interesting of the names that were in that LCQ. If you don't qualify top 18, you got to go to the LCQ. So Triple Crowns, as blasé as we felt they were, there were some good performances by some people.
Yeah.
And we'll start on that. So take it away.
So what? Race one. You got 250 overall
Yeah,
here.
250 right here. That's all I got. 250
Is
and
that
a
what you
40.
got?
Yep.
Race one was very boring. Like I, I was not impressed with race one at all. So I said I was so excited for this Triple Crown race, and then we get into it, and we're watching 251, 451. I'm like, what is going on? Like
Yeah.
this is miserable. Um, but it was I just we lacked that excitement this week. Um, so Cameron McAdoo, I know he won race one.
Yeah.
Um,
I love what he said in his podium speech. His girlfriend told him,
yes,
be where your feet are.
yeah,
He's becoming well spoken and contemplative and thoughtful when he's on the podium.
hmm
Um,
no, he's a very well spoken guy.
he's also, I hate to say it, he's also kind of a veteran of this class.
Yeah,
Should be. He should be well spoken.
yeah,
And
and like so, Pro Circuit Kawasaki puts McAdoo. Hammaker comes back for a second, I believe, a third maybe. Diggin was second. Hammaker was third. Um,
that was about the best Hammaker was going to do.
yeah, and I know there was some lashing on the Deegan end of things.
But was there, or was that the commentary that they told us? Do you
Well,
think? Do you think his dad actually was disappointed with what he did last weekend?
probably not because he acted the same way, but he did act. Deegan acted different.
Yes.
Um, so something was said, or he got enough backlash throughout the week that maybe I can't act like that. Because when he won Triple Crown 2 or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I don't want to say what they used to call
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So when he won the second one, it was he sounded much more mature, much more well rounded.
There was no send it
Yeah,
talk.
he acted like a professional rider.
Yeah.
So something got through to him, and I'm glad to see it because there wasn't a whole lot of nasty racing either.
No, there wasn't, and we'll talk about later on what happened in the third Triple Crown. But yeah, like you said, uh, Hammaker, he. I thought, okay, here we go. Pro Circuit's got their stuff together. It's on again,
Mm-hmm.
and McAdoo goes out, poof. It's just kind of does this thing, and I won't say it's methodical because Deegan was there,
Yeah,
and
but McAdoo rode a really smooth ride.
yeah,
But that kind of kicked off the night of how it was going to look if you got the start.
Tom Vial, Tom Vial was looking good,
Yeah.
and that was the talk. Okay, he won. He won the mud. He won.
Mm-hmm.
He won. No, I'm sorry. He won at Daytona. He That was MXGP. He won in Birmingham, but guess what? There were no whoops. Can he win in whoops? And about that time, they were going through the whoops, and it was like, oh, okay, well, maybe not. But let's not jump the cart before the horse here
Mhm.
because he's getting it together.
He is. It's starting to click, and he even Saturday he progressively got better throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as the track broke down, it got more MXGP style, but he progressed throughout the night. Even like I said, we'll get into it on the third one where he won it. Um, but as the track broke down, he got better. But if you look at Tom Vial last year trying to hit whoops, there was no chance.
No, and when they actually did an overhead shot in the first Triple Crown TC. I don't know. We got to come up with something because can't say Triple Crown the whole night. When the first race, he when the whoops were looking pretty solid, he looked pretty good going through the
Mm-hmm.
whoops. He made a bobble. You know how many guys made bobbles in the whoops?
Majority of them.
And they just used that as like, oh, I don't know if he can do this. He looked good when the whoops were pretty level. They all went through them, and he just looked like, oh, cool. He wasn't losing ground. He wasn't gaining ground. He
No,
went through
Jett
them.
Lawrence had a few bobbles in the whoops.
Yeah.
Sexton had a few bobbles in the whoops. I mean, if if you didn't bobble in the whoops at Indy, then
Yeah.
you're a god because I can't think of anybody that didn't have a slight hiccup.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, like you said, the first race, McAdoo wins it. Hammaker's third. Deegan's second. Okay, cool. We got the battle. It's the guys that should be up there.
Yeah.
We're thinking it's the guys that should be up there. Pierce Brown. Good God, man. The guy somehow, he has an absolutely horrible, horrible first race. Like
Yeah.
12th. Because he couldn't stay off the ground. I mean, and I know it's getting old, but Pierce Brown was in the brown.
Mm-hmm.
And, but that gummit, the guy is like a rubber chicken. He just bounces back and he's putting it, we're saying this term, putting it together. But that gummit, he's having a quietly good
Yeah, he's
year.
a hammocker by
Mm-hmm.
all means, but he looked really good actually. Even before he went down, he looked
Yeah.
really good. Like Pierce has always been good, but this year, if he could just stay on the bike, and I think, I mean, what around the third race he pulled a second.
Yeah.
So you keep that kid on the bike at a steady, solid, consistent pace. I don't see him not winning. You know what I mean? Like he's that fast, but he can't
Yeah.
keep it up.
I really enjoyed the analysis. I think it was Will Christian that was saying that he and Barsha's been doing so much work on the bike, and you can see the results. We're going to talk about that because actually
Mm-hmm.
Barsha looked pretty solid this weekend, but they're using that knowledge that they're getting from Justin, and they're giving that to Pierce, and you
Yeah.
can see the difference in him this year. The person that got me, and I think it's just easy fodder, Cody Shock. Good God, man!
This.
You have your shoulder plated. You're doing rehab the same day, and
Yeah.
you race this
Been
weekend.
there, done it. I mean, been on a bike with a broken collarbone. It's miserable. I can't imagine like supercross on a broken
And
collarbone.
on there were three jumps onto tables this weekend, and those impacts are not fun.
Yeah, there was an on off section.
Yeah,
So table to off. That the G force alone coming off of those
yeah.
tables, or going from one to the next, and then that gnarly whoop section. I mean, I can't imagine it. I have plates and screws in mine, and it would be miserable.
Yeah,
But 5 days out of surgery, he's racing Supercross.
and
So
just plugging away.
yeah, and he did go down.
Yeah,
Um, luckily, he landed on the opposite side. That's the first thing I see, and he goes down. I'm like, show the camera view of all of that hardware sticking out of him because there's no way it didn't. But luckily, like I said, he landed on the opposite side. But that shows grit.
yeah. The name I wanted to talk about too, Daxton Bennick. He's been kind of quietly having okay times here and there. His first two this weekend were not good, but then he proved, hey, look, I'm still here. In his third one, which we'll touch on when we get to the third one. But one of the names, Hardy just hardied. all night long. I mean, 16, 21, 15. I don't know what the 21st. I didn't see. I didn't. They didn't actually show what happened to
He
him.
didn't. He was like 5 laps down, so he
Okay.
pulled off. I don't know if he ended with a DNF or not,
Yeah.
but I don't know what happened to the bike or what. Like I said, they didn't show, but he something definitely happened.
But if you think about that, he was third in the LCQ. That means he should have, if you just go off stats, he should have finished 21st to bump up to 17th and have those kind of showings. That one bad round
Mm-hmm.
back there in the back, but still, that's not bad. That's not a bad night for him. The guy who is got to be just completely devastated is Max Anstey.
That's what I was going to bring up. Like you go from carrying the red plate to finishing a night in 13th after. So race one he pulled off.
Yeah,
More bike troubles.
yeah,
Um, that alone would just drive you up the wall.
yeah.
And then his whole night was just
He had one top 10
yeah,
the whole night.
and his night was not good.
No, it's like it's just crashed. And he's a strong person. You can tell. You don't travel around the world and live the way he's lived and fought the way he's fought to get where he is to not be a strong person. But that collapse of that red plate has and the bike prop that has just got to
Yeah,
be like crushing him
it
right now.
just weighing. I mean, I would imagine that losing the red plate was probably not. Obviously, it's devastating, but I think he would have had the fight to get it
Yeah,
back. But then you add the bike problems on top of that. I think it's probably a lot of a mental game now.
yeah.
Um, he's having a he's probably struggling with quite a few challenges.
But anything else on race one?
No,
Race two, Danger Boy comes out and puts it together, and the world is fine, right?
no,
I mean,
yeah,
you
you
know,
could say it is, but he actually did look good.
he looked
I
good,
mean, he rode a nice clean race.
and he kind of
Uh,
dominated it.
he did. I think he ended up finishing like eight
Yeah,
seconds ahead or something like. It was quite a big number.
and McAdoo strolled into second, and it was funny. McAdoo was all, I'm like, dude, you got pummeled by 8 seconds, and he's like, yep, it all comes down to the third one. I'm like, well, if you look at the times from the first to the second, you lose. Like if you were just to add cumulative time,
Mm-hmm.
you got smoked. So,
The only thing that really saved McAdoo was his finish in the third one because one more position and he wouldn't have
yeah,
had it.
yeah,
So Deegan finishing sixth in the third one. I know we keep jumping ahead, but
that's right.
with these you almost have to because
Yeah,
it kind of weighs into everything.
yeah. So so it was Deegan, McAdoo, and then Vial.
Yeah.
Where wait a second, Vial he's struggling. He just finished third. So he's had a fourth and a third so far in a true supercross setting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I think there's not a lot of worry. I think Austria is probably satisfied at this
Yeah,
point.
and he's just going to keep plugging away.
Yeah,
Like he's just going to get better. Um, they're going into a week off, so they're going to put more work in. He's going to spend more time on whoops or whatever he needs to
mm-hmm.
do, and he's going to come back. And I don't see him taking a break. That's for sure. They only get a week off, so he's going to come back on fire. I can almost put
Yeah.
money on it.
I mean, they're gonna go. It's gonna be a dome. They'll know. They'll know. Okay, are we prepping for a soupy race or are we prepping for a dry race? Because usually St. Louis has some pretty decent dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting to see what they prep for. But I think it's just I laugh at. I mean, I know we're in a 24-hour news cycle, so these guys have to build some drama at some point. And right now we have an Australian who's dominating. We have a French guy who's coming along, and it's like, what about the Americans? We've got Danger Boy. Well, what about the good old farm boy McAdoo from Iowa? Like, can we tout him in the quiet hammocker and Pierce Brown, who is quietly putting together a hell of a season. So let Vial. It's fine. Let Vial prove that he's good. It would be nice to have another good French rider. We've had multiple good French riders throughout the
Mm-hmm.
year, and it's good that we have this kid that wanted to come over and give Supercross a try. We're going to get that again next year when Prado comes over and jumps into the 450 class. Why not? Let's embrace it versus. And he doesn't seem like a lot of Americans have trouble with French.
Yeah, Prado did win this weekend too over at
Oh, did he?
round one. Yeah, he Jeffrey Hurlings ended up like 9th or something like that.
Oh, did you hear about what Ducati did in the Italian championship?
So I was seeing something about the Ducati bike.
Lupino won.
Okay.
In the Italian Masters or whatever they call it. So, I mean, it's not a huge race, but it's the Italian National Championships, and well, we see the bike can make motos.
Oh yeah, and you kind of knew it would. Yeah. I mean, that's a long living breed.
Well, they can make a Moto GP, revving it. God knows how far they rev. I'm sure they can. Yes, the suspensions but they're not building the suspension. They're working with either a WP or a KYB or a Showa, or an Öhlings. They're not building the suspension.
Yeah,
that's coming from craftsmen. They're what Ducati's building is geometry and an engine.
Yeah, and it's gonna work. It's working. It's already proving its point. So I can't wait to see it in Supercross.
Someone brought up to me, how much are they gonna cost? They're gonna cost an arm and a leg, and I'm like, they probably don't care if they sell one, as long as there's 400 sitting in the USA.
Yeah, they won.
They're here. As long as they get 400 in here, they're racing. Their lifeblood is MotoGP.
Mm-hmm.
This is a we want to beat KTM.
Has anybody looked at the price of a Kawasaki right now?
Yeah.
I mean, a Stark Varg that is like the new in thing is $14,500 or $14,200.
There was one of those at the FTR race this weekend, and I'm sorry. I think it's awesome. It's cool. I can't stand not being able to hear the bike. I was turned around, and all of a sudden I hear it. I'm like, what was that?
Chain banging.
Did someone stall? So I turn around, and it's like a hopped up RC car. I know they're badass. They're cool. I'm not making fun of them. But if everybody was on them, it would just not be.
Yeah, the rev limiter is like king.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you get the goosebumps from the rev limiter.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like opening ceremonies and it's you got fireworks, pyro all over the place, and the voice? You can go ahead and try the voice if you want, but I'm not.
Well, hailing from Lake Wales, Florida, Derek Shaver.
So,
and you go out to the tabletop,
and the next thing you know, like,
well, they can't even clutch it and accelerate.
No, it's just quiet. So, they're cool. I want one.
Yeah, they're cool. I'm not making fun of them.
I would love to have one. I would love to be able to ride. I'd love to be able to ride, period, right now. But I want one for different reasons. Like, I don't want to have to kick. The bike work. I don't want to deal with my kid's bike work on top of mine. That's the only reason I want one. But to have one from a fan standpoint, a whole stadium full of them, you lose Supercross at that point.
So do you have DJ KO just like playing music the whole race?
Yeah, you got to do something cool. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it's. You heard what happened in MXGP. They've decided to make an electric bike class, and Stark's not really happy about that because they wanted to be integrated into the MXGP.
Mm-hmm.
But MXGP is like, I think we're just gonna make an electric bike class.
Yeah,
and
they're not fair. I mean, you can't have a bike that's pushing 80 horse and blows the 450s off the line. Yeah. Just absolutely, like, it's. I don't know where unless they put some kind of limiter on them that you can only run such a level, off the start. Like,
aren't they going to get every start though? Because there's nothing. You just twist the throttle.
Yeah, it's instant power. That's what I'm saying. So you can't be integrated with something that you're blowing the socks off of. Yeah. It's just it's not fair. It's like racing an 85 or even a 65 in the PW class.
Yeah,
you can't do that. I mean, you gotta make it make sense. And I can understand why they're mad, but it would be cool to have an e-bike class. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Even if Supercross had a 250.
Well, we do have an e-bike class. It's called the KTM Junior Challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's now, you don't even hear the bikes. You just hear, and then everybody's cheering, and That's all you hear.
Well, you go to Dade City. We race all these local series and all the Florida series races, and it is so quiet when
Yeah.
our we're in the e-bike class, so
Well, the e-bike class is awesome because now we can actually hear the parents yelling at their
all you
kids.
hear is yelling. I mean, I think it's louder than a normal race because that's where tensions are always high. But it's like I said, I think it would be cool Supercross to have like a VARG class,
Yeah.
and it would give more riders an opportunity. It makes the sport that much bigger, but that also requires more airtime. Or it's just I would like to see a single class, but I'd like to see the reaction of the quietness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, somehow we went from Tom Vial to
Stark
Stark Varg,
Vargs.
but hey, he just that's where the media goes. But yeah, so we got man, my eyes have gone bad. Pierce Brown gets a fourth. So like we talked about, he had that bad first race, but then he comes back and quietly gets fourth.
That's just what we're going with Moto 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and
That's what I'm
nothing
used to on a normal
nothing
weekend.
else drastically. I don't see anything.
No, it was 1 and 2, even 3 were, like we said, bland. It was just the 250 class was bland. Cameron McAdoo pulls a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Just making it because Tom Vial comes in and wins one, which that's a big thing. So like we can
yeah.
get right back into the Tom Vial again. So if you go into the Moto 3 and it was Tom Vial proved his point. Track was broke down, but it got more MXGP style.
He got a good start. It's well. Let's talk about the start because there's more drama between guys that have already had drama and they weren't even involved. McAdoo, well, Deegan decided to hit a tough block. Hamaker decided to turn right. Everybody that came through the middle was good, but it
Mm-hmm.
wiped out. There was a huge pileup. I'm not saying that Vial would have won had there not been a pileup, but you get a good start and you get out of trouble.
He stayed away from it. I
Yeah,
mean, I was honestly, I know that Deegan acted well spoken. I was waiting for some kind of backlash that somebody closed him off and he hit a tough block, and that was all his own doing.
yeah. He just tried to get in tight.
Yeah, he sucked it in way too tight,
Yeah,
and his ass hand hit a tough block, and it threw him ass over tea kettle, and he took out a whole bunch of guys in his path.
yeah. Then they didn't get up and throw his bike
That's
down.
that's the first thing I said. I'm like, you don't see. Look at this. Do you see any of these other guys screaming and throwing a fit because he plowed 4 of them over?
But I don't know where Hamaker was going. What happened on the other side of that
That he
accident?
was sucking in so tight. I don't know. It
Because
was
Hamaker went right, like went straight.
yeah,
There was like two separate accidents.
yeah. I'm not sure. It was a weird start for
Yeah,
sure. There was like obviously the digging thing that's a racing incident. That's his own fault. The whole thing was his fault. But the just the way the start laid out, everybody going every which direction, it was different.
I do want to touch on something. Deegan was sixth in the third race. He had two teammates. By the way, Bennett comes back and gets a fourth, best ride of the night for him. Romano, who was invisible, gets a fifth. Was there no, hey guys, we might should like slide over a bit and let Deegan by so that we can potentially win this tonight?
Yeah.
No, they raced him to the finish and he came across sixth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe that was a lesson. Like I don't know like what the point was, or if I appreciate the honorableness, but I also would not have taken it away from them if they excuse me, all of a sudden stalled going into a tight corner or
Yeah.
eased up to let Deegan go by. But no, they just
I I would not have been thrilled had that happened.
well, we've seen it.
Yeah, I know. Very true.
I mean,
Like,
Vial's coach did it so that Dungy could win.
yeah, you're right. So in that instance, like, see, when I put a helmet on, I don't care who you are. There's no teams. There's none of that. I used to race my brother, for a little bit, and my mom used to ream me a new one because I either took him out or something. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, motocross is known as a one man sport. So, um, if if Deegan had the red plate, like I don't see where if Deegan's not paying Bennick, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? So I don't see
but
any.
Star is.
Star is, but if my team, if I'm riding for Star and they tell me to move over because my premier rider is coming up through the pack, I'm probably not going to be in a contract very long.
Yeah, but it's part of the business.
It is, but it isn't. Like it's racing. Racing is racing. Do
Yeah.
you pull over for people when you're racing? I mean,
If they're faster than me sometimes, yes.
yeah, but if you're at that level, there's
Yeah.
absolutely no.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was. I saw that dynamic, and I thought I saw Bennick and Romano up in front of him, and I thought, oh well, he's going to end up fourth,
Mm-hmm.
just because that helps. But maybe it didn't. Maybe they already knew if he got to fourth, it wasn't going to matter. I don't know,
I doubt it.
because a
I
one
mean,
two four, he still wouldn't have won, or 2-1-4, he wouldn't have won.
that with those guys at that mindset, still the rookie mindset.
Yeah,
I don't think they have those numbers that quick. You know what I mean? That would be.
that would have been Duff that had to do
I was
that, right?
trying to think if none of them they rode one Triple Crown.
The East has
No, they haven't.
no.
So that'd be their first Triple Crown race.
Yeah,
So really, it's they can figure out moto wise. So coming from amateurs, you can kind of figure out what position you're going to be moto wise. But in a Triple Crown, I'm sure they've ran Triple Crown formats before in amateur stuff, but it's a lot of quick thinking on top of your racing to
yeah.
come up with something like that. And like I said, you're as a racer mindset, you don't care who that is. So I don't know.
But that's not bad. Not a bad showing for Bennick, who was having a rough night, and Romano, who I've got to assume Romano's fighting for his job for this year coming up, and
Probably
to get a top five after doing nothing. I mean, what did Romano? I don't even know where he finished.
six.
Sixth overall? No, sixth overall.
Yeah.
Okay, so not a bad night for him. Um, but I know that those points mean something at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But no, quietly, cannot go without saying Pierce Brown finishes second, stays out of the fray, and stays out of the Brown, and just cruises into
Yeah.
gets second. And I was actually thinking about the Austrian side of things. You have Vial, who's doing really well, and Pierce has been consistent. Thank God those two guys are doing things, because there's not much positive for the Austrian side of the motorcycles on the
No,
east side, on the East Coast.
definitely not.
So I know they have RJ out west, but they're not really. There's nothing going on.
No, it's mainly all monster riders.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And Swole had another just average night. He did have one bad
he
main, but
rode well though.
yeah,
Like he
I don't think he can win though.
no, he was in positions that I didn't really expect him to be in, and he did take a couple spills, and he made quite a few mistakes, but he pulled one whole shot,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
one or two.
I thought one. I know one for sure.
Yeah, but he looked really good. He just like you said, I don't see a win out of him.
No, but I think they're getting some valuable testing, because if you really think about the last 3 weeks, they have been as similar as the breakdown of the tracks have been. There have been three completely different sets of dirt
Yeah.
and different styles of racing. So their Triumph is really getting some good testing. I know they're doing it with one rider right now. I mean, there's no telling what Savacci's doing back at the old Matt Walker facility,
Hmm.
but I think it's Matt Walker's facility.
I don't
I don't
remember,
remember.
but they're putting it there. I mean, they're doing a ton of
Yeah.
work on that thing.
So I mean, the fact that they're in the top 10 on a brand new platform
Hmm.
says something
Yeah.
good. So anything else for the 250 side of
No,
things?
250, like I said, was bland. Glad to see Deegan kind of pulled a head out of his rear a little bit, and even though he took everybody out at the end, but hopefully it's kind of up from here for him,
Yeah.
not back to
I think
more of
it's
the BS.
I think it's important that he's good. I think it's important that he's involved in the series, because I do believe he does bring eyes to the TV that have not been there before.
Oh, he has a huge fan base.
I just wish that he would let the be as Michelle said, dude, you want to be a badass? Do it off the track. Like live that life. Like if you want to be Gronkowski and go do all the stuff that Gronkowski did and still perform on the field, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But let's separate the attitude on the track versus the attitude off the track and not live that life on the track. It just it's not becoming. We need those different personalities, and we don't want to make you vanilla because this sport has way too many. I mean, we got so used to Ryan Dungey and Ryan Villapoto with the buh.
Yeah.
We need that excitement, but maybe like have a little championship mentality in your thought processes.
Just be humble. I mean,
Yeah.
being humble goes a long way.
You want to tout it on your YouTube page? Go for it, man. Like,
that's the platform for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Peacock is not the platform for
No.
expressing your opinions. So, yeah, 250s were bland. It was okay. Decent riding.
250s were bland. We got a straight sweep in the 450s.
Yeah. Well, we're getting into another bland a bland race.
I mean, thank God Ken Roczen is a battler this year.
Yeah, Roczen's kind of back on rails and looking decent. But let's get into it. 450s, like you said, Jett Lawrence just did what he needed to do. 1-1-1.
Thank you for watching. We're
yeah,
done,
I mean, that was it. Moto 3, maybe I can talk a little bit, but I really don't have much to say. Tomac is, as much as I hate to say this, Tomac is done.
I'm going to need a counseling session because for years now I've had a rider that I have enjoyed watching.
Mm-hmm.
I still enjoy, but my heart cannot take the fact that, and I know he's not satisfied, so this is the wrong wording, that he is comfortable being in 7th, 8th, 10th.
Yeah, and that's not okay.
No.
Eli's a dog.
Yeah.
So
I know he's not comfortable there.
No, he's not, but you think that the fight he's no longer a Rottweiler. He has become a...
Don't say Chihuahua because they're mean.
I'm not going to say Chihuahua.
Beagle.
Them things are... If he was a Chihuahua, he'd be up front.
A Beagle.
Yeah, I could go with a Beagle or a Pomeranian or something. Just fluffy and...
He doesn't even bark, so...
Yeah. No, he doesn't. He don't...
No.
It's hard to get an uprise out of him. So, yeah. Unfortunately, this is the end of the road for Tomac. It sucks. We got 7 more rounds of them, so enjoy it while you get it. But
yeah, I'm not counting him out. I'm gonna need some counseling on how to find the next rider that I enjoy watching.
The retirement party.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was as much as he's going downhill, I think we're getting Barsha back a little bit. I know it's been a struggle all year on that bike, and they're finally. I mean, not finally. They've been putting in the work from day one. They just couldn't get that bike right. So I think they're finally getting it back to his standards.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Hunter Lawrence.
Yeah.
We got a lot of scapula injuries this year.
Well, those 450s. Well, I guess I should say 450s. Those bikes hit hard.
Yeah, tracks are gnarly too this year. So then you get Hunter Lawrence, who's just coming off of a 250 onto that 450. Dean Wilson's out with a scapula. Who else?
Shock just had his scapula.
That was collarbone.
Oh, yeah. I had the wrong side of the body. Sorry.
Faulkner broke scapula on top of everything else.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think. I thought there was another one, too. I thought there was 4, but it doesn't matter. So Jett sweeps it all. I don't even know if we need to break these down one by one because it was literally so
similar.
Yeah, Roczen almost goes 2-2-2. Sexton is the only one that interfered a little bit. Sexton goes. What did Sexton do? 3-3-2.
Yeah,
the opposite of Roczen.
Can we, before we go further, two things? We're going to touch on Jett. We're going to do a dive on Jett, but Roczen, the guy is completely counted out. Wins Indy last year, goes on this fun world tour, has some fun, is racing, but still battling the immune system stuff. But man, I don't know if he's just having a great time. I don't know if whatever, his agent signed a really nice incentive deal for him. But the dude is just, he's the only one that seems to be able to give Jett a headache. Not, he still can't compete with him over a long period of time, but Jett
No.
at least knows he has to work through him.
Well, that's you're in outdoors. Jett just sweeps everybody. Roczen comes in for a
Yeah,
race and
I can
gives
hang
him a
with you.
run for his
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
Had Roczen not went down, there might have been
yeah.
a different outcome versus an undefeated season. So you're right. Roczen's about the only one. I mean, the only one that stopped Jett is himself
We
at the big.
actually we were talking about that
Yeah, yeah,
yesterday,
yeah,
and
yeah. So at the beginning of the season, I mean, he was in his own head and going down, and I like I said, I think that was all just Jett fighting Jett.
yeah,
You get Jett on, and nobody can stop him.
he looks like he's having, in that sand section. He was doubling over this berm, and then he'd jump over here, and he's jumping into the whoops, and he's, you're gonna, the move he made on Roczen in the first race,
Oh my god!
like Roczen looks back and like, oh, you're outside,
And
cool,
there he is.
I'll go outside.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna go outside, fantastic. I'll square it off. I'll go inside, and
Yep.
the
Then
race
he
is over
sucks
now.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the way the kid was those whoops, you are barely getting any airtime because there's hardly. I mean,
Yeah.
you're down on the plywood at this point of the track, underneath of the dirt. You're not getting any lift on those things. They're just enough to clear two of them at a time. Jett is scrubbing and or throwing his bike totally sideways through the whoop section.
And tripling.
Nobody can move a bike like him.
Yeah.
Nobody. And Barsha can throw a bike around, but he can.
Not elegantly, though.
Nobody has that flow like
Yeah.
he does. When you can get 10 riders that can do that, this sport is going to change phenomenally. But until that point, Jett's going to battle Jett.
Yeah, I think
here on out.
I think he is now going to be, and I'm not going to say he's going to be what our good God, Ricky Carmichael was. He's going to be Jeremy McGrath. He's going to be, because Bubba was that way. If James Stewart didn't crash himself, he would win.
Yeah.
And I think I know it's early, but dude, the guy has put 3 in a row together from all 3 very different rides, and he had to battle 3 starts in a Triple Crowns have not been his thing.
Let's not forget it's his rookie year.
Yeah.
In the 450 class. So
against the best. Right now, it's still the best guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's not depleted.
Not even slightly.
No.
So he's on top of the world with no issues at all. You get a couple battles here and there. Roczen give him some battles. And the Moto 3, that was some good racing.
Dude, they raced each other. That's, you know what? Deegan should have watched that. That is how 2 champions race one another.
Clean.
Side by side.
So clean. And they were literally touching bars.
Yes.
Not one time did they touch each other.
No.
At all. So you're right. Deegan should absolutely sit there and watch that over and over and over again. And understand that talent gets you to that point. Like, you don't have to. Deegan has talent, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to act the way that you act, and it's going to come. It will come with him.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a long time, but it will come with him. But he's also got that I don't care mindset. So Jett and Kenny that was probably some of the best racing I've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed that.
As boring as I thought the night was,
that was the race. They put
on a show.
Yeah.
They put on a show. But yes, Roczen is looking good. We were diving into Roczen. We jumped into Jett because right now it's just like, I'm kind of gobsmacked of like, oh my God, man, this guy's like, he's just doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also impressed with Roczen and what he's doing. And it didn't look, he's had races this year that were not perfect, but he has looked overall like he is in it. And it's going to sound so, he's in it to win it. He's in it to make an impression and do well. Like, he's not just there collecting a paycheck.
Yeah. And his wins, his after finish, after checkered flag excitement
Yeah,
is real. That's not like
it's meaning something.
it's
Yeah,
not a scene. You can see guys that'll just throw up an arm or something. He is so freaking excited every time he wins a race, and that like it goes a long way with me.
yeah.
If I have to be honest, um, he's shutting down all the negativity that everybody is putting towards him, and I mean he's doing it with fire.
Yeah.
So besides those two, uh, the top six were the normal top six. Nothing has really changed.
Chase Sexton looked okay.
Anderson looked good.
God, Anderson, Dagum Anderson, man. I swear, I hope that he can get another podium, and I would love to see him get a win because I feel like he has put it in like this year.
Yeah,
It's looking good. He looks like, and I'm not even gonna say the Anderson of 2018 because in 2018 he just kind of trotted into that
yeah,
championship. He earned it, but he trotted into it. He looks aggressive. He
he is, but
looks.
I don't know if he can do it.
I don't know either.
Like if you look at the typical top two, Jett and Sexton are typically where the fighting is
Yeah.
at. Then you put Roczen in the mix. If I had to line up Roczen and Anderson, I'm not going to pick Anderson. I don't I don't think,
Maybe
and
for one lap I give Anderson the nod.
but a win.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give him a win over Roczen.
Yeah.
Even if Anderson got to pick the track conditions, Kenny is one that can adapt to anything, and usually overcomes anything. And Ken said that in the broadcast that why he thinks he's so good at Indy is he's like, I get in my mind that this track is going to change every lap. So I got to think about what I'm doing. I got to look ahead and picture the track 2 sections ahead instead of what's
Yeah.
right in front of me. So, and it works for him every year. Um, Anderson is he's a straight bull. He's a fighter. He like I can't see him winning. I really can't. As much as I want him to,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to
But
happen.
he's having a good. I know that none of these guys are happy if they're not on the top of the box, but for where he was to what he's doing now
Mm-hmm.
is a good change.
Yeah.
It's positive. Cooper Webb. Okay, first of all, before we go any further, Cooper Webb, I've gotten mixed reviews. I thought his gear looked awesome. Other people don't like it.
Brandon loved his gear.
I thought it looked cool as hell.
Yeah.
That being said, I also thought Chance Hymas's gear in the 250, the fly kind of shake and bake hold,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that looked cool too. So maybe I'm a sucker for like cool looking one-off gear, but I thought it was cool. I don't know why Thor did the gear for Cooper the way they did. I don't know the significance of it. It was old school, but I don't know why.
I don't know. It was cool. It's kind of cool though. Like
Yeah,
it's just throwback,
but I don't know why they did it there.
just out of nowhere. Yeah. Because it wasn't like there was no anniversary there.
No, I don't know if maybe there was a tie. And I don't know what the tie-in would have been, but like I know one of the IndyCar drivers just got a new helmet, and there was some wow similarities.
Yeah.
Tough word for me, but there was no talk about that, so I don't know if it was just a well, just, hey, you know what? We were gonna do something cool for retro. We forgot to do it. We'll do it now.
Hmm.
But um, first race for Cooper. Was that just bad luck? Cade did nothing wrong.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
Were you mad at Cade?
No. No.
Should Cooper have tried to jump somewhere else?
Like Cade is in it just as anybody else
And
is.
he's not had a good year.
It happened. Racing incident to me.
Yeah.
Full blown racing incident. I don't see. I see no problem with it. I mean, I watched him like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's Cooper going to get mad because
He handled it well though.
he did. I mean, there was not even a hand. It was just grab the bike and get back on it.
And it was at a bad spot too. Boy, that was a nasty little area.
Yeah, that's anytime in between them sections like that.
Yeah.
It's rough enough to get those bikes up, let alone
In that
in inclines and down in valleys and everything else. But yeah, that was all racing incident to me. It was nothing. It wasn't avoidable. I don't think.
And I think that kind of messed up his night, but he came back and got a fifth and a fourth, and it's kind of, you know, he
Mm-hmm.
still wasn't on the top, but at least he was in the fight
Yeah.
per se. Um, Aaron Plessinger is the cowboy has lost his horse.
Yeah, he did have some dog in him. Him and Anderson did a lot of battling.
Man, what
Every single moto.
as much fun as we had watching uh,
Yeah.
Jett and
There was that
him,
race.
these two put on their own little show,
Yeah.
and I don't know how does that happen.
It lined up every time.
Yeah,
It just to me that's just how Indy was this week that it's like they all had their positions that they were in and
yeah,
that's how it worked. I mean, nobody was better than where they were at. So you had the race up front and the race a quarter of the way back.
and then we get to my guy Eli Tomac. He just kind of I think he's like, you know what, this track does not suit me. I am gonna ride.
Yeah, there was no fighting him.
No. There
There
was just a
was
survival.
just talent
Yeah,
getting them through.
yeah, and the rider that we wanted to talk a little bit about, Justin Barsha, man, a solid top 10.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good. Um, he was racy at moments, but kind of kept his nose clean and just, you know,
Yeah.
but he looked better. There was more, a seventh and a sixth, I think, and I think that's just cool. You're now getting in that upper half,
Mm-hmm.
and before he was fighting to get into the top 10.
Yeah, because we're used to seeing him in close to top fives
Yeah,
or top fives. This year, seeing him in a top 10 was rare.
yeah.
So finally getting back to that point is nice to see. And I'm hoping we get more of it. I think as they start clicking off the weeks, obviously it's too late, but I think come the end of the season, you're probably going to get a good rise out of Barsha if they get all their stuff worked out.
I hope
So
so. I hope so because I know you were. I think you were talking about this. This is probably it,
it's possible.
if
You know,
possible.
his Bamland's for sale. I know he wants to retire and go to Europe. So um, it's a big question.
It could be a big year for rides if you really think about it.
If we lose Tomac, Barsha, AC's
Yeah,
gone.
does I have a question for you. Is this where we get to see Faulkner on a 450?
I don't know if
If
we see Faulkner come back.
you don't think so,
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm really questionable.
if there's a 450 ride waiting, because that was part of his contract thing a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I'm gonna bet you're not gonna see it on Kawasaki.
You don't think so?
I don't think. I think they've probably Faulkner's fast when he's fast, but I think they've put so much faith into Faulkner with really zero return.
There could be two new riders at Kawasaki next year if
I
Anderson actually
think.
leaves and goes to Triumph.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the end of this year is going to be very. It's going to be cool to watch it unfold throughout the year, but knowing that we got how many guys that are leaving already, like I said, I truthfully don't see. I don't know if Faulkner's going to come back. I don't see it. I think that at this point, you're you've been on the ground more than you've been up,
Yeah,
and you kind of got to start questioning. You know,
I mean,
is this really where you should be?
yeah. You got a good life. You got a good wife. You seem to have your off track stuff together.
Yeah,
Took a little while for that to happen, but you seem to have that together. Maybe it's time to just call it.
you know, you forced the management mindset on me, so maybe somebody ought to be doing that to him too at this point.
Yeah,
Because
I think we see Jeremy Martin disappear this year too. I think we see him.
honestly, I thought we already would
Yeah,
have. So
there's gonna be a lot of moving pieces this year.
I think, and I don't know. I guess we'll see how it unfolds. But we got what we got right now, and
Yeah, and it's good.
try to enjoy it because, like I said, we're gonna lose quite a few of them. So
What about Malcolm Stewart? Another top 10.
yeah,
That was a quiet top 10 too.
yeah, there was not a lot about it.
No, we didn't
A
see
lot
him. We
about
didn't
him at
really.
all.
There was not a lot of talk. There was not a lot of hype. There wasn't a lot of anything. He just kind of muddled through
Hmm.
and got another top 10.
Yeah,
And I think that's good for him. That's good,
yeah,
especially on a track that could reach up and bite you.
quickly,
Yeah,
and typically he's the one that gets bit.
yeah.
Kyle Chisholm in a 13. That
That
was
how about that? Goes to the LCQ and then pulls off a 13.
yeah, in a stacked field. I mean, Kyle's a dog. He's gonna be gone soon too. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think that ride gets replaced per se, but because
no,
he goes into a role. But
but you get another rider in that spot
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
So, um, yeah, and congrats to Justin Starling on finally getting it through. Justin faced a lot of suspension issues this year. Um, he actually got suspension built. I don't know what round it was. $6,000 rear shock, blew it out, one race, and then he's now actually getting Honda support.
that's pretty cool.
So um, things are finally coming together for him. Like you said, our boy Danny Yoni at 53 Graphics paints his helmets, so it's cool little thing to get some of the intel.
What happened to Benny Bloss? I know he crashed the
I don't
first one,
know.
and then it was kind of
It was
didn't do anything.
yeah, it was over all night.
But
So
welcome back, Colt Nichols. Where is he? I saw him. Oh,
14.
14th. I know that's not fabulous, but literally racing your first two supercrosses on blown out supercross tracks on a brand new
On new
bike,
bikes, yeah, after an injury.
and
So
they train in California. Those tracks don't feel like that.
no, not an absolute chance. So, but all in all, the night was okay. Um,
It just wasn't that exciting.
no, racing up front, racing about a quarter of the way, and then it just it didn't have me on the edge of my seat like every other
No,
weekend does. I don't I don't think I would have been happy if I was there either. Like it,
I still would have been happy to be there, but
always happy to be there, but
yeah,
the, as a fan to watch. I'm not gonna say that because the fans there are
dude, they were pumped.
yeah, they're so
Yeah,
excited. That place was full.
I mean
But like,
three gate drops of both classes. Those people were so excited.
yeah, we're just at this point so like management mindset that it gets such the management mindset that I don't know. It's just
I actually after, and I know
picking
the
picking through it so thoroughly.
yeah, I know the racing overall with the heats and the LCQs and the main, the racing numbers are roughly the same. If they was a LCQ or the heats are 6 minutes, the LCQ's 5, the main's 20, so 31 minutes. If you don't race the LCQ in the um, Triple Crowns, you're 4 more minutes or 5. I don't know. It's like 5 more minutes of racing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that much more racing. But I will tell you that I felt like the races were long this weekend.
It's because they were just so like they weren't action packed enough for that amount of racing. It just
I looked up and there was still 8 minutes left, and I was like, "Oh man, I feel like they've
it
been
was
doing this."
so free practice feeling.
Yeah,
Really, it's like because every lap they're trying to relearn the track, and by the time they come around to the next one, it's a different track. And like I said, it just I'm hoping Seattle
yeah.
comes back with a boom.
Is it rainy in Seattle right now? Because I know when it's not rainy, the track still breaks down, but at least it can be cool. The past, I think was it last year, it wasn't too bad, but that's where they learned the technique of making tracks that are wet, not
Mm-hmm.
making the jumps the same.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
Seattle's always rainy, so it's hard to tell.
yeah, actually, that's a misnomer, but
I know.
but it is wet there a lot. But the Pacific Northwest loves their Supercross. They're going to show out. It's going to be great. Um, hopefully, I would hope it's a drier race, and then we go back to another dome. So, but I mean, everybody talks about Supercross needing to be inside in a dome. Well, I'd like everybody to really think about that. That really limits where Supercross can go.
Yeah,
If it's only in a dome, that really limits. And by the way, is the dirt being held? Indy was in a dome, and the dirt broke down like that
yeah.
because the dirt's held outside
Mm-hmm.
and weather.
Their state Supercross is known as stadium racing,
Yeah,
and they're in stadiums. So
yeah, and it's just part of it. And some years are more wet than others, and it is what it is,
yeah,
But only thing before we leave or touch on some other series, can we just you touched on the artistry of Jett. the last Triple Crown, he was jumping into those whoops, and just there were other guys that had done it, but he did it consistently and no one behind him would even try it. And it was basically jumping into a field of ruts and then, like you said, bouncing and tripling and watching him come through the sand. Just he looked playful yesterday
Mm-hmm.
in a cautious, not cautious because he's obviously at that speed you can't be cautious, but he didn't look like he was taking a lot of risk. And just once he got into his rhythm, but man, jumping into those whoops was ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said, it was just he's so talented and he can move a bike around so flawlessly that it's hard to compete with that.
Yeah,
So it's only going to go up. You know what I mean? It's you can't really see him going downhill. He's got a lot to learn, and he already looks like he knows more than all of them.
it's a
So
wonder now if we can. And it never happened in the other championship runs, but does anybody learn or catch on or start doing to compete with?
I said you would hope so,
You would hope,
because if you can get even 5 guys that can ride like that, it's going to change the sport.
but it took until Ricky Carmichael left for someone to do what he
Yeah,
did, and it took until
it's generational.
yeah, generational.
Yep.
But hey, another big thing. We had another round of the Dade City Motocross this weekend. Heard decent crowd.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Um, our weekend was not good, but it was pretty good. Uh, we had bike problems on our 50 all night long, so I spent more time wrenching than I did getting much else done. Track was really, really ruddy. Um, we struggled with starts terribly, so our night just wasn't that great. We had Caleb out riding for us this weekend. That was cool. He rode my bike and finished a 1 and a 2 in 250A and College Boy. So it's fun having him out there. Looked really good on the 250 instead of a 450. Another kid that can just absolutely throw a bike anywhere you want it. So it's fun watching him ride. I think our kids, Bowen finished 5th on the PW, and I think we had a 7th or 8th on the e-bike, and then Oakley ran 250 classes. He decided he wanted to race two classes, so I think he ended up like an 8 and a 9 with a bike that was not running at all. So I was proud of him for that because, like I said, that bike just spitting, sputtering, and I said, we paid, just go have fun and enjoy it because there's nothing else I can do with it here.
Yeah,
So it survived it, and he got to enjoy it and get a little bit of time in the gnarly ruts. So track was really, really tight this week. After day in the dirt, they seems like they shrunk it down a little bit. Lap times were actually pretty long, so I don't want to say they shrunk it down, but it was more of a it was a good track for the mini riders. So yeah, we got I-4 race this weekend at Mesa.
yeah. Is that
Um,
round two?
yeah,
And then they're going back to back. They're going straight from Mesa to Tampa.
Tampa. So I think we'll be there this weekend, and then right after that we got Dade City again and the Easter race. So big Easter egg hunt there and good stuff for the kids. Um, and then we got Loretta's area qualifier WW Ranch coming up really quick too. So that's the following weekend after Dade City. So a lot going on in the next few weeks for all of us.
At the I-4 series, I got some Snapchats from Lindsay C
Mm-hmm.
with Parker riding at Mesa, so looked like everybody was having a good time.
Yeah, yeah. That's one track we've never rode. I know it gets pretty ruddy down there. It's pretty sandy from what I've heard. But I didn't hear of any major injuries or anything like that. So seems like everybody had a fun weekend of riding. Um, Bike problems and all was still fun. We had fun with everybody, and um, we got some cool stuff really coming up here on the podcast. Got some guests coming up that we'll be dropping pretty soon. Some other cool news that we might be able to get to drop soon. So stay tuned for all that.
Perfect. Well, this was the episode 47 of the fantastic city of Indy and a okay race of Triple Crown.
Yeah, Indy's supposed to be exciting, and it just wasn't. So we move on to Seattle and never look back.
Nope. We go from the Colts to the, oh good lord, I forgot the name of Seattle Seahawks.
I'm
So
not a sports guy, so I
yeah,
wouldn't know the difference.
but no, that we go from indoors muddy condition or ruddy conditions to outside ruddy conditions. But for this week, he's still Derek Schaefer of DBS Custom Fabrication and Handyman Services. I am Trey Heath with Michelle and Trey Real Estate. This was episode 47 of Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast, and we will catch y'all next week. Bye bye.